Meanwhile, an outpouring of grief and anger has taken place in India, with Shia residents protesting in cities like Srinagar and Lucknow over the killing of Iran's supreme leader. Well, the escalating aggression prompted by the US and Israel, it could impact some 10 million Indians who call West Asia home. And for New Delhi, it is a critical region for economic and strategic interests. The United Arab Emirates, it has the largest Indian community with more than 4 million nationals. There are 2.75 million in Saudi Arabia and just over 1 million in Kuwait. Qatar has just shy of that number. In fact, there are smaller communities in Oman and Bahrain, and smaller still in Israel and Iran, with the latter home to fewer than 10,000 Indian nationals. Now, amid the growing unrest in the region, the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, he has pledged to work with all the concerned nations to ensure the safety and security of every Indian citizen.
The current situation in West Asia is a matter of deep concern for us. India supports the resolution of all disputes through dialogue and diplomacy. We will continue to work with all countries to ensure the safety of all Indian citizens present in this region.
Well, the forced closure of airspaces and transport hubs, it has left many people stranded. We in fact heard from a passenger in Dubai about the challenges travelers are facing. Take a listen.
I had a 3-day meeting and a workshop here in Dubai, for which I was here. And then when I took a flight, we actually flew out into the air for about 4 hours. We were probably the last of the airplanes that took off before the crisis hit. We were just about reaching the Iranian airspace when the crisis hit and the airspace was shut. And because of which, I think the captain then tried to reroute us through Pakistan and Afghanistan. But I presume there was a crisis going on that end as well. So he couldn't really find a route to step out of this area, because of which the flight then circled for a few hours and then came back and landed back in Dubai. This is also a very large hub of airplanes that travel through the region. Our plane itself had about more than 550 passengers who alighted in one go. And when we landed up at the terminal, we saw that the terminal was a different space altogether, with an ocean of people already who were stranded there. And yet, within an hour and a half, the officials made sure that all of those passengers who needed a visa to enter Dubai were quickly given a visa. They were stamped a visa. They were sent out in queues and lines. Our luggages were already waiting for us. We've all been put up in hotels, and where we're waiting for the next step of action. The authorities have said that there will be a decision taken on when the Dubai and UAE airspace would be opened up. Once the airspace is opened up, they will also start allocating flights amongst people who've been here and stranded here for a longer period, especially those who are in transit at the moment.
And I'm now joined by Fuad Izadi. He is an associate professor, University of Tehran. Professor Izadi, thank you very much for speaking with RT India. Could you first clarify the current safety situation for Indian students on your campus?
You know, the university closed because of security reasons. So Indian students, Iranian students are off. The Indian embassy has been in Tehran, has been in contact with Indian students. And I think they're okay. As far as I know, we haven't had any casualties among international students in Tehran.
Professor Izadi, I'm pretty sure that it's a very difficult period for not just people like you, the professor, etc., but also the students who are residing in your universities. Help us understand this. Are the students, are they being advised to follow any particular safety protocols at the moment?
You know, the authorities here have asked people, everybody, students, non-students, to see if they can leave large cities and go to smaller towns, maybe if they come from villages or smaller places, to go there with the hope that in the smaller towns there are less targets of value to Americans and Israelis. And the general feeling is that if you're not in Tehran and major cities, you would be safer.
Professor Izadi, there are many Indian students who consider Iran for their higher studies, whether it is for medical studies, etc. or not. Does this particular conflict, does it change anything for them?
Yes, that's a possibility. When there's military attacks on a country, then you would not feel safe. And it is possible that that will result in reduction of number of students that are coming. But, we are in the middle of the school year. And as I said, the hope is that this is the last time the Epstein class attacks Iran. And then for the next school year, things go back to normal. And so we don't see a major reduction because things would be normal for some time.
Professor Izadi, do you have a message for many of the parents and their relatives of the Indian students who are studying in Tehran?
The message is do prayers for your children and also the country. Iran was attacked illegally, unjustly. We were in the middle of negotiations again, and we were attacked in the middle of negotiations again. There was no justification to attack Iran in this manner. A couple of days ago, we lost over 165 students, little girls in a primary school in southern Iran. I'm glad that none of the Indian parents have to deal with that, but Iranian parents have dealt with serious devastation. So prayers would be good. Unfortunately, unlike RT, I've seen some Indian news outlets, some of them that are associated with the United States, they repeat propaganda points of the Western media. So knowing what's going on, being aware of the realities, detecting fake news is going to be important. And I think watching RT would be a better choice in comparison to some other channels that are not doing serious journalism.
Professor Fuad Izadi, as an Iranian, do you also have a message for Donald Trump and Netanyahu?
It's against international law to attack other countries. It's against international law, obviously, to kill the leaders of other countries. Iran is a victim of aggression. Iran wanted to de-escalate last time when Iran was attacked. We lost over 1,200 civilians. Iran announced that Iran would attack one US base ahead of time, and they even said the number of missiles they were going to use, and they knew that base is empty. This time, Iran decided not to do that, and the reason is that last time when Iran de-escalated, we got another attack. And this time we had the country's leader assassinated. So it seems that the escalation is not something Trump and Netanyahu are interested in. They want to change Iran's government, which is, again, illegal under international law. And this is not an analysis of an Iranian professor. This is what they said on the first day of attacks. So the message is that get to know Iran the way it is. Iranians know Trump. Iranians know Netanyahu. They know that these are genocidal people, and they're not going to be foot soldiers for some regime change operation of genocidal people. They killed over 70,000 women and children in Gaza, and they're doing the same in Iran. They want to, they have this Zahia doctrine. You can Google the name. It's the doctrine that you kill as much civilians as you can. So you create fear among that society. This is what they did in Gaza. They want to repeat that experience in Iran. Last night, they attacked the hospital the same way they attacked every single hospital in Gaza and every single school in Gaza. This is not going to be tolerated this time. Iran is going to make sure that the other side pays enough price so they don't repeat this type of attacks every few months on a sovereign country.
Professor Fouad Azadi, thank you very much for speaking with RT India, sir. And I'm also joined by India's former ambassador to Iran, Dinakar Srivastav. Ambassador Srivastav, once again, thank you very much for speaking with RT India. Let me just start by asking you this. When you look at the current situation, how does India view its role in this current conflict, sir?
Well, India has good relations with countries on both sides of the Gulf. And our foreign minister has already spoken to all concerned, both to Israelis as well as to Iranians, and asked the Israeli side for de-escalation. We have a 9 million strong Indian diaspora. About 50% of our oil supplies and 55% of our LNG comes through this region. So we will be affected, as also the rest of the world, because oil and gas are fungible commodity. So increase in prices in one place affects prices elsewhere.
Ambassador Srivastav, following the 1979 Iranian Revolution and also during the Iran-Iraq war, the world, it saw the oil prices peak over $35 per barrel, which is roughly around $137 in 2025. Do you feel we might witness a repeat of that in the coming months, and how bad can it get?
You are spot on. In 1979, there was a 5% reduction in the global oil supply due to Iranian revolution. 10% reduction in the global oil supply due to Iranian revolution. In case this war continues, the disruption will be much greater, because Gulf region accounts for more than 20% of global oil production and exports. And this is coming at a time when Russian crude oil is under sanction, so it will exacerbate the shortage. And the prices, therefore, are likely to go up much beyond the current levels. They have already climbed more than 8% in one day.
Ambassador Dinakar Srivastav, thank you very much for speaking with RT India, sir.
Thank you.